the number of veterans in Congress is at one of the lowest levels since World War II. But Republicans are making strides recruiting veterans to run. Joining us now are two candidates for the House of Representatives who did serve in the military. Retired Navy captain who served in special operations, Virginia's candidate for the 10th Congressional District, Hung Cao, and former Army National Guardsman who served in Afghanistan and is running for Congress in Oregon's 4th Congressional District, Alex Skarlatos. Good to see you both. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having us.
All right, Captain, you outrank us all, so I'm going to go with you first. It's interesting. When I look around government, you think about it, the president, vice president, Speaker of the House Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, even Kevin McCarthy. You look over the Senate, McConnell, Schumer. No one has served in the military. How important do you think it is to have people in government at senior levels who have served?
Well, the part of the Constitution says that, to provide for the common defense. How are you supposed to do that if you never worn the cloth of our nation? Right? I mean, there's only 89, like you said, between the Senate and the House, 535 people. There's only 89 veterans. It's deplorable.
Alex, you bring a unique background as well. How important has that been on the campaign trail to you? When you interact with voters, how often do you bring up your military background, your training, and how important you think that would be as a member of Congress?
I'm not sure if background or training has a whole lot to do with it, but I do think that the perspective that veterans bring is very important, just due to the fact that we've been to some of these countries. We know what it's like to go into combat or see a war zone or see just a third world country. And a lot of politicians that send people into these conflicts have no idea what they're really sending our brave American men and women into.
Captain, the thing that's interesting is, you guys both talked about the decision making going in, but it's also sort of coming out, right? We've got so many veterans that are going through the VA who are having so many problems. And again, if you've never served and you've never gone through the VA system, you have no idea what that's like. So talk to me about that aspect as well. How important is it to understand the VA process?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it took me a year just to be seen for an issue that happened while I was on active duty. And because of COVID, it got pushed back. Then I happened to deploy to Afghanistan. Is a surprise deployment because the guy got COVID. So I came back in January 2021, and then I was transitioning out, and they couldn't see me. So it took me a whole year to be seen. And it's, again, I can't imagine what this means to people who really need a lot of help, either amputees or people who've suffered a lot of wounds of war.
Alec, recruitment is down. And there's a lot of factors that I think go into that. But I've got to think at some point, part of it is also not seeing people. If you're not interacting with people who have been in the military, you haven't seen them, there's an aspect that I think that, and so how much do you think not having people at higher levels of government, at visible layers of government, may have an impact in recruitment as well?
Well, I think it absolutely has an impact. I mean, we don't look up to our veterans as we once did, especially if you talk about the greatest generation coming back from World War II. But even on top of that, I mean, I'm not sure if I would even want to join the military in this day and age. I mean, think about who we have not only leading this country, but leading the military. I mean, after the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, where 13 Americans were killed in the last week, we still have that same level of leadership from the chief of staff, 3 two-star generals. No one has been fired or resigned. And of course, Joe Biden's still president. So it wouldn't give me a lot of confidence if I wanted to join the military nowadays.
So let me just pick up on that. So as you get elected to Congress, what would you do to help shape and change this? Because, again, as I said, it's not just the White House, right? It's you've got colleagues on both sides of the aisle that you have to then explain a lot of these decisions, a lot of the things that come up in the military and the VA. What do you want to do when you get there?
What I wanted, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alec. You go.
No, I was just going to say real quick, for me, it's just wanting people to understand the consequences behind their decisions. I mean, you send people to combat, you should be able to take care of them when they get home. And that's one of the biggest reasons why the VA needs to be reformed. But I'll send it to you, Captain.
No, Alec, thank you so much. Again, I think Alec hit the nail on the head. I mean, after the debacle in Afghanistan, and we did a drone strike and killed basically an aid worker and a bunch of children. Who's held accountable for that? There has been no firings, no hearings. Who has been held accountable for killing innocent lives? I mean, this is, if this would happen to myself or Alec, we would have been court-martialed tomorrow. But yet you have a chairman, Joint Chief Staff, who likes to wear makeup, who wants to find out what the source of white rage is, instead of teaching our soldiers how to put rounds down range.
Captain, I want to stay with you for a moment. This is your first run for office since you left the military. How important has the military and veteran community been to your campaign? Oh,
they're amazing. They've really rallied behind me. Like, there's no, I can't tell you the amount of support, people saying, "Oh, thank goodness there's somebody who served our country, who knows what we went through and understands how to get us out of situations that we shouldn't get into."
Alec, it's your second run for Congress. What have you learned since the last run?
A lot of things. I mean, it's a hell of an experience, I'll tell you what. The main thing is just not quit, keep your nose to the grindstone. I mean, coming up now, only 53, 54 days or whatever it is. I mean, we are in the home stretch right now. I feel like I've been doing this for way too long already, but you just have to keep at it, because now is when it really counts.
Well, I'll ask you the same question. I mean, you did it once before, but even in this go-round, how important has that military veteran community been in terms of financial support and get out the vote efforts?
I mean, especially with get out the vote. I mean, veterans are pretty tight knit. I mean, I'm a veteran. My opponent isn't. And I think a lot of people look to veterans for leadership. And I think that that's very much going to play a role in this race. I mean, we have an open seat. It's slightly Democrat leaning. We need to get the veterans on our side. We need to get the unaffiliated voters on our side. But I mean, in this kind of a year with everything going on, I mean, this is the poorest congressional district in Oregon that I'm running in, and we cannot afford inflation. We cannot afford gas prices. And I mean, there's so many issues going on this year, but I mean, we have to be a champion for all of them and not leave anyone unrepresented in this country.
Alec, aside from your military background, if elected, I believe, and I'd have to check this with our research team, our crack research team, but I believe that you will be the first Dancing with the Stars alum to be elected to Congress. How important is that going to be to you?
Well, as long as I get there before you do, Sean, that's all that matters.
Well, look, that's never going to be a problem. Don't worry about that. Captain, if you had the chance, would you follow in Alec's footsteps and go on the show as well? I mean, the two of us have both done it with Lindsay Arnold. I don't know if that's an option to you or not, but would you go on the show?
I have two left feet and have no rhythm, so I don't think so.
Oh, then you didn't watch my season. I took that. I took care of that. You'd have no problem. But, anyway, I do appreciate you both coming on. I wish you both the best of luck. Thank you for your service to the country, and best of luck on these final 53 days.
Thank you so much, Sean.
All right.